now we know kind of which way this coaching staff is leaning as far as some of these players. Of course, we got the 53, we've got the 16-man practice squad, and we've got a first depth chart now of the Cardinals 2023 season. Let's take a look at it, Johnny. We got that fun little or at the quarterback position, but outside of that, pretty cut and dry. Hollywood Brown is wide receiver 1. He's going to be probably your primary, what we'll call him X. We got DJ Humphries right there at left tackle. Elijah Wilkinson outright won the left guard spot early in camp. Yelda Frodeholt has held on for dear life, but now is thriving at the center position. Will Hernandez at the right guard spot. He's the usual name there. And, of course, 6th overall pick, Paris Johnson Jr. at right tackle. I saw an interesting stat about this offensive line, Johnny. It was from the In the Trenches or Trench Warfare breakdown. They got their 2023 offensive line almanac, and the Arizona Cardinals have the second most, I just guess you would call it, experience in the NFC West. But then they are the second most youthful offensive line in the NFC West. So youth and experience, you like both of those, and they're the second heaviest offensive line in the division as well. Like it. Zach Ertz, depending on if he comes back or not, he's tight end 1. Rondell Moore is your starting slot receiver. And then, oh, look at this. Rookie wide receiver Michael Wilson is starting opposite Hollywood Brown at outside receiver. And then there's that pesky quarterback competition, Joshua Dobbs or Clayton Tune, and then RB1, James Conner on the offensive side.
Well, look who's starting an outside receiver who should have been starting for weeks now. Oh, wait, he has been. Pour one out for Zach Pascal. I like Zach Pascal. Good dude, special teamer. Get out of the way.
He's going to be in there on running down. He's going to be in there. The primary blocking receiver for sure.
Michael Wilson does not leave the field, folks. I like Michael Wilson, and I'll put my stamp on this right now. I love Hollywood Brown. Michael Wilson's going to be this team's primary pass catching target by the end of the year. I'll stake my reputation on that. They have a favoritism toward bigger receivers. We know that. This is a guy they've drafted. They're going to develop. Like this kid's going to put up really nice numbers for a rookie 3rd-round wide receiver. I think in the neighborhood of like 700-800 yards, 6-7 touchdowns. He's going to be a guy that everybody is talking about over the course of the year. He'll have some lapses, but not leaving the field. That's what that tells me. It's like, say what you want about this receiving core without DeAndre Hopkins. It's not ideal, right, in some aspects, but this young man from training camp, OTAs, minicamp, rookie minicamp, has been one of the best players on the team. I asked Bo Brock, we were at training camp deep into the offseason, and I'm like, he and Paris Johnson Jr. like already top 12 players on the roster? Well, they're starters right now. So they're one of the best 11 on offense and then one of the best 22 on the team. So it's like, I think Michael Wilson is a top 15 player for the Cardinals right now today. And I think the man I just mentioned, Paris Johnson Jr., is a top 10 player for the Cardinals right now. I think he's going to solidify himself as the blue chipper that we all expect him to be. The rookies really highlight this first depth chart. I went back to last year's inactives for game 1 against Kansas City. My eyes were burning, right?
Yeah, why'd you do that?
Well, because I like to torture myself. No Trey McBride. Remember, he was inactive that day. We're walking into the facility. No Trey McBride? What's going on? Oh, I'm sorry. No Najee Sanders? And everybody remembers how that game looked. Stark contrast to this year. And what I will say, everybody was asking, is this going to be a good draft class? I don't know if these guys are going to be great long-term, but this is something that I was always told about draft classes in today's NFL. You shoot for everybody being great, right? That's not realistic. Can you get 1 Pro Bowler, 2 starters additionally, and 2 additional guys who can be depth players? Well, look at that first depth chart. What does that tell you? The 6th overall pick has not blinked since he got here. Then you've got, I don't know, a wide receiver starting that was a late 3rd rounder, and another young man, Bo Brock, starting defensively. I would say that's a pretty good track record for this draft already. I know the Cardinals, people think aren't going to be very good, but I love where this group is trending from April to now.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. I mean, as far as seeing first-year players and the opportunities that they're going to receive, but also that they've earned. Like Paris Johnson Jr. has not given anybody any reason to second-guess him holding down that right tackle spot. And then Michael Wilson's ascent has been something special from OTAs through training camp, preseason to now. He's been one of their best receivers and has earned a starting nod. And then, as you said, let's take a look at the defensive side, the entire depth chart here for the Arizona Cardinals going into Washington. Two guys up front, LJ Collier and Lecky Fotu. When we talk about a relatively unknown defensive line, those are the two guys that have kind of earned those spots. So is Ledbetter, guys that have been disruptive, been pushing around, imposing offensive linemen, getting their hands up and batting down balls. Then the two edges that we were mentioning, in Dennis Gardeck, how much they love his versatility, not only getting after the passer, but coverage. And of course, Zaven Collins getting that chance immediately with the position change. He's opposite Gardeck at the outside linebacker spot. And then Kazir White, Josh Woods, surprise over Chris Barnes. But Woods, a guy who's been primarily a special teamer, he's getting the chance, first crack as far as being the other inside linebacker, off-ball linebacker for this Cardinals team. And then there's Keitrell Clark opposite Marco Wilson, starting as the outside corner. Talked to Nick Rallis today about Keitrell Clark, and it's just that competitiveness that he brings each and every play in practice and in the game. And then, of course, just his motor is nonstop. And we've heard that from guys on the offensive side of the football. Michael Wilson, very complimentary. Greg Dortch, very complimentary of Keitrell Clark. And then the two most proven commodities on this defense, the back end, your safeties, Jalen Thompson and Budda Baker.
I love some of these comments in the chat. Roscoe saying, love that underdog feeling. Absolutely. This Cardinal team historically has been so bad as a heavy favorite coming into seasons. They are 100% completely flying under the radar. I'm sure they love that. Dana in the chat, over 50% turnover. This is a whole new team. Our D may struggle a bit, but with the culture, they will be fighting with heart every game. This defense, I think, the offense, in my opinion, you can find a lot to like. The defense, particularly in the front seven, is going to be a focus point for most opposing teams this year of where they can exploit this team. And so guys are going to have to step up. You're going to have to hope and pray that guys like LJ Collier can continue their really solid preseason into the regular season, not worry about being a former first-round bust of the Seahawks, just being a spot starter, a nice player for the Cardinals. Can Zaven Collins replicate what he did in the first two preseason games? That remains to be seen. I hope so. And then Kazir White and Josh Woods, they're going to set the tone. Josh Woods, friend of this program, I can't wait to see that guy deliver big hits on Sunday. So they're going to be well coached. And we've talked about this time and time again. I have no concerns about this team over the course of a 17-game season being in the right position, right? Having the right pre-snap reads. Are they athletic enough and talented enough to make the plays when things go off script and you're facing a franchise quarterback? That's going to be the most difficult thing. Or if you have a plus offensive line hammering, running backs at you 25, 30 times a game. There are going to be times this year, Bo, where this defense starts to wear down, not because they're not well coached, but because maybe the talent is lacking. So what I was really encouraged by on both sides of the ball during the preseason is how well they were situated pre-snap. The penalties were not there, a la Cliff Kingsbury and Vance Joseph. And if you can be well coached with this team, and I believe they're going to be, you're going to be able to hang in games you're not supposed to. And they're a 7-point dog on Sunday. I think it starts this weekend at Washington.
Yeah, it's going to come down to, is Nick Rallis and Jonathan Gannon and this defense, are they going to be able to expose Washington, that offensive line, which is kind of it's a tough spot for them right now. I don't think they were able to figure it out through training camp and preseason and really find 5 guys that you can really rely upon to keep Sam Howell to have a consistent pocket. And if that defensive front can be disruptive or rival what they had in preseason week 1. Now I know it's tough to take what happens in preseason to, the regular season, but if Collier, Fotu, Ledbetter, throw in maybe Carlos Watkins can kind of really disrupt what's going on up there, and then have that rotation of pass rushers get in there like Zaven Collins, what we saw in sample size. That's going to be a big factor in what this team's going to do defensively. Now, if they get to where it's just hat on a hat and you've got clean pockets for Sam Howell, he becomes a completely different quarterback, and you see where he was successful in his preseason time and in that finale against the Cowboys last year.
What's the area you look at the depth chart, either side of the ball, that gives you the most concern? Like by the time they kick off on Sunday, and you can't say quarterback, by the way, position group that you look at for this team and you're like, man, I don't know about this group heading into Sunday?
I mean, as far as depth goes, the interior of the offensive line, there's just beyond your starters. You've got Froholt, you've got Wilkinson, and you've got Will Hernandez.
That was going to be my answer too.
Any of those three guys go down, listen to these guys. Carter O'Donnell, you just signed him. Elm Manning, you just signed him. He's a 6th-round rookie out of Hawaii. Tristan Colin behind Froholt. I mean, Keith Ishmael. Like, these are guys, if they were sitting right next to me, I don't know if I go to practice, I don't know if I'd recognize them because they're so new to this team. And sure, you look at the tape and you like Monty Ossenfort clearly liked it, and that's a strength of Monty Ossenfort, and you hope that one of those guys pans out. But like right now, there's just a lot of concern there if one of the front, the starters goes down.
Surprising that Marquise Hayes did not survive the final cuts. He's on the practice squad. I wonder if he makes his way back up onto the roster at some point this year. I'd probably say yes. I would agree with you. I think the interior is a concern because I think they're going to operate okay in their front seven. I think that Washington is limited enough with their offensive line. They're going to have some matchups that they like. Whereas, Josh Dobbs needs a clean pocket. That goes without saying. He needs a running game with James Conner. Will Hernandez yelled to Froholt go down. That could get ugly fast. We saw it last year with Kyler Murray when that offensive line began to deteriorate. So